When you hear a dog snarling and growling at something, they are pissed, and it's about a person usually. So my wife and I have been shopping for property for quite a while. A nice little country lot that we can call our own. We have our own place right now, but we're not really in love with it because of the proximity of our neighbors. And while we do want to get away from so many people, it's still important that there's a few people around in case something happens. You have to have a few neighbors around just to make sure that you have somebody to go to for an emergency, or you know, it helps to live in proximity to other people, in my opinion at least. And while we doing all this property shopping, you can't help but sometimes have questions that you want to ask that you just don't want to talk to a realtor about. So when you're driving by these pieces of property and you want to know what electricity company they use or whether they have city water and sewage, sometimes you just roll down your window and you're like, hey, how you doing? I'm shopping for the property. I'm interested in buying the property next door. You know anything about it? You know, something like that. But knocking at somebody's door, it's one of these things that I don't like to do. We've been in the position recently that we really wanted to find out some of these things about a piece of property that we're buying. And I got to tell you, I didn't want to knock at these people's door because I know how it is when strangers knock at my door. It's weird. It's off-putting. It makes you feel kind of funny. And just think, if you saw somebody at your front door that you didn't know and they were distressed, like something was going on. We reacted to videos before where they were sweating or they were bloody. Things like that is just so unnerving. So when I saw this animation today by MJV Animations, it kind of got me thinking about this stuff. So do me a favor, head on over to MJV Animations channel, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and if you like reaction videos like this, click subscribe on this channel as well. Let's get into the story.
When I was 15, I'm female. My mom, older sister, younger brother, myself, and our dog Betty all lived in a rural area. To give you an idea of how rural, the local school had a roll of 12 kids from a surrounding 150-kilometer radius. It's a long story how we ended up living out there.
Dang!
And thankfully, we weren't staying there for long.
My graduating class had 12 people in it. I thought that was small. This is really rural, dude.
Not far from us was the turnoff to a long, dead-end road into the hills. At the end of the road was the regional base for a notorious gang who held a lot of power in the area.
150-kilometer radius for a school, and you had a base for a gang? Wow! What kind of a gang was this?
We had been told by locals that they never had any trouble with them because they didn't shit in their own backyard.
Oh!
The night it happened, it was dark and it was snowing. I had changed for bed with my lights on and curtains open, never imagining that there would be anyone around to see me. I switched off the light, got into bed, and then it started. A slow, deep, raspy breathe in. A pause, then a deep, slow, raspy breath out. I froze. Then little tap noises and more breathing. I thought it was coming from my bedroom cupboard and was completely paralyzed with fear. Betty started barking and growling from the lounge room, and at that point I screamed. Mom came running in, and I told her about the noises. She told me I was being ridiculous and that there was probably a possum outside.
Now, listen, when the dog barks, there's different kind of dog barks. Would you agree with me? I've been a pet owner almost all my life, and I could tell the difference between when a dog is just barking or when a dog is angry. And when you hear a dog snarling and growling at something, they are pissed, and it's about a person usually, or another animal.
That they made all kinds of strange noises.
Possums
She said she would take Betty out and scare it away. Two things to note before the next part. First, Betty was a very gentle, medium-sized dog who was about as terrifying as her name. She barely barked, and before that night I had never heard her growl. Secondly, my mom never swears, and normally finds it incredibly offensive. So I heard her put Betty on the lead and open the back door. Then I heard simultaneously Betty making the most aggressive noises I've ever heard from an animal, and my mom screaming.
That ain't no possum.
Who the fuck are you? There was a scuffle,
Whoa.
and then a loud slam. I ran into the corridor and could see my mom pale and terrified, Betty with her teeth bared, snarling and trying to get to a man on the other side of the glass door.
What the hell?
A huge man, covered in blood, with a disfigured face and a look in his eyes that was just... I'm trying to think of the right word. Evil is close.
What in the world?
I guess you could say that it was just obvious that he meant us all harm. He started lunging against the door.
I mean, he's covered in blood.
Betty was making it pretty damn clear he would have to get through her to get to us. I started screaming to call the police, which was ridiculous given our location. Mom passed Betty's lead to my sister and ran for the phone screaming out, "I'm calling Jack! I'm calling Jack!" Jack was the nearest farmer to us. Suddenly the man turned around and loped off. Jack turned up an hour later. He had come across the man who was clearly on some sort of drugs. In retrospect, I'm guessing meth.
Yeah, drugs will do that to you, man. Drive you bananas. I just recently told a story about how I almost got murdered IRL, and this guy was off his meds, which nowadays are almost as bad as being on illicit drugs. Wow, dude.
He'd crashed his car into the ditch by the turnoff. Because the guy was apparently affiliated with the gang, and Jack valued his life, he had to help the guy get his car out and send him on his merry way. We moved in with friends the next day, and left the area within weeks. There are so many fortunate things about that night. Firstly, Betty for sure saved our lives.
Right.
Mom is a small lady, and if Betty hadn't reacted the way she did, he would have gotten into our house right away. Secondly, he didn't keep trying to get in. There was a flimsy door, and I know dog attacks are nothing to snip at, but the guy was bloody ginormous, and probably in a drug-induced psychosis.
Yep.
So I don't like to think about what could have happened if he got in. Thirdly, he either wasn't armed or somehow didn't think to use a weapon. Finally, if he had gone back to his car to get one, Jack had found him first.
Wow, man. Having a medium-sized dog kind of changes perspective, right? Because a large dog that has a menacing attitude like that, not many people will take the chance. Not without a weapon, at least. Like, a dog will F you up, man. A mad dog will mess you up. Even a medium-sized dog. I don't think I would be afraid of a medium-sized dog if I needed or if I wanted something bad enough. And in a drug-induced state, you're not scared of anything. But that probably was the number one thing that kept him from going in, was thinking to himself, maybe he's rationalized about being bitten by that dog. You know, all of these stories, well, most of these stories, nobody is a gun owner. And it makes me crazy because I'm from the South and I grew up with them, you know? But I've had conversations with some buddies of mine that are from Canada, and they don't believe in protecting their families with weapons. And I know it's such a controversial issue. I'm not trying to draw out any controversy, but it's just so strange to think that people would not protect themselves like this, man. Oh, it's crazy. Anyway, guys, I really hope that y'all enjoyed the animation. And let me know what you think about, you know, protecting your family, you know? Whether or not it's something that you think you'd do. If you were in that situation, what would you do? If your neighbor's taking an hour to get to you, how do you protect yourself, you know? It's crazy. Anyway, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed the animation. Make sure to subscribe to MJV Animations, as well as subscribe to this channel if you like reaction videos. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.